Hi, this is Dr. Martha Lucas, and I am here with my podcast, Energy Medicine Woman. We are all experiencing energies all around us all the time. Every thought, every behavior is an energy that affects our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. So, Energy Medicine Woman is not only about energies that I practice, energy medicines that I practice, which include Reiki, axiotonal alignment, Chinese medicine, of course, essential oil therapy, but it's about our health and how the energies around us can affect us and how they can present themselves in our bodies. Today's podcast is called Depression from a Taoist perspective. So I want to talk about that today. So in this podcast today, I'm going to look at depression with the ancient spiritual point of view of Taoism. Depression in the Taoist view can be looked at in four depths: spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical depression. But at any level, depression is an inner conflict of an individual. It's an inner conflict within an individual. Spiritual depression is not a health problem, and medical science can't deal with that. The other three types, though, can be helped by various healing arts because they are connected to chemical and/or energetic imbalances. In the simplest way of understanding it, depression is an emotional conflict with the logical mind, an emotional conflict between the logical mind and the physical chemical balances of the body, or in this case, imbalances of the body. If you could logically and completely solve your own internal conflict, which is sometimes by some sort of spiritual or meditative understanding, then the emotional and/or chemical imbalance will be normalized. But in many cases, depression is involved or is caused, is interwoven with glandular or hormonal imbalance, usually between the pancreas and the adrenal gland. These glands can stimulate emotions that kind of turn into a physical or a behavioral pattern. The brain also secretes hormones that govern the emotions. What brain hormones try to make you feel and what organic stress allows determine the final outcome of an emotional behavior. So if a person, or if you know why you're feeling depressed, it is harder to chemically alter. If you know why, it is easier to alter on a behavioral level, sort of on the surface. If you don't know why, most of the time, or some of the time, it can just be an unsteady blood glucose level, for example. I have a patient who expressed a lot of anxiety, just always anxious, always anxious. And one day I said, can you kind of see if your depression or anxiety, what time of day it is, or is it a certain time of day? Try to see if maybe it's because you've allowed too much time in between meals. And certainly the person was able to determine that because it's true. Blood glucose levels affect emotions. Now, if you have anxiety at other times, then it may very well be a chemical imbalance, and this is what psychiatrists deal with. But if you know why you're feeling depressed, it can be an energetic condition that might be called a broken heart, or it might be called a closed heart chakra. The heart chakra is the bridge between the upper and the middle dantian. So it's the bridge between the spirit and the core self, the physical self. Among the 7 chakras, the 4th, or heart chakra, is the center that has the role of connecting mind and physical body. So as I just said, connecting spirit and physical body. It works like a fourth dimension, a time dimension. It allows the mind, which you might call the fifth dimension, and the spirit, the sixth dimension, and God, the seventh dimension, to connect with the physical body. So having a broken heart might mean that the person is having difficulty harmonizing the two existences of self, the mind, the spiritual existence, and the body, the physical existence, or what some call reality. So what I'm saying is, if you have a broken heart, you might be experiencing that difficulty between your mind, your spiritual self, and your body, your physical self. The body can only manifest what's going on in the mind. So as your mind is moved, according to the theory of brain chemicals, hormones are released that physically express the feeling, or in other words, the emotion. Even when we know that hormones alter mood, the natural order of feeling is that after the brain's logical process to feel a certain way, and the hormones get involved and are released, then we have what we call an altered mood from those hormones. Now, in order to deliver the logical or the mental stimulation to our hormonal or endocrine system, the heart chakra has to evoke and distribute the energetic stimulation by resonating. Okay, remember I mentioned in the beginning that energy is a part of everything. So in this example, a person who seems physically fine can logically determine that he or she is happy, but the person may not feel that way. And so no hormonal response is achieved. They just are perfect. They say they're happy, but even though they may not, quote unquote, feel that way, there's no hormonal response. Another maybe easier way to think about it is, people like to give the common example that the brain is the most important sexual organ. So here, the brain includes both the feeling mind and the logical decision-making mind. The feeling mind does not come from hormonal emotion. It's the feeling before the emotion triggers or is reinforced by hormones. It's the same energy that the heart chakra resonates. In Taoist spiritual teaching, the heart chakra is the center of feeling. It's the center of love. So by that, or in that situation, having the heart chakra functional means that there is no conflict of mind and no miscommunication between mind and body. Everything would be in harmony in that situation. The body cannot fool the mind, nor can the mind fool the body. When the mind is in harmony, and when the body and mind are in harmony, there is no emotional conflict caused by hormonal imbalance. The precise emotional manifestation supported by the glandular or the hormonal system is always voluntary and conscious. They're not conflicting, or it's not some blinding factor with an unknown cause. The heart chakra can evoke proper hormone balance. In other words, when you have a fully functional heart chakra, when the heart chakra is balanced, one cannot be depressed in the true sense of the word depression. Now, historically, the effort for helping depression has pretty much been by psychological or chemical treatment, right? You go get therapy or you go get an antidepressant pill. But often one finds self in a spiritual escape route that eventually can crash if you don't have a good foundation. And that's why, as energetic practitioners, we familiarize ourselves with what level of support you have, what level of support the patient has. Do they have inner support and community support? Because when there's that, I said you can crash because of lack of foundation. Well, the foundation is both inner support and community support. So I often recommend to practitioners of Chinese medicine that before one starts treating a patient for depression, we do need to look at what is their inner self like, what is their inner support system like, and what community support do they have? What social support do they have? Then, and this will speak more to Chinese medicine practitioners, but by organizing what we call the extraordinaries. So for those of you who aren't practitioners, Chinese medicine has what are called extraordinary vessels, or the 8 extras. And these vessels are not the traditional organ meridians like the lung channel, the large intestine channel, the spleen channel. These are extraordinary vessels, they're extras. Well, one of them that I'm going to talk about a little bit is the Chong Mai. I liken the Chong Mai to beginning in your lower belly, starting in your Mingmen fire, and then rising up to encircle your spirit like a lollipop. I feel like it looks like a lollipop on a stick. Well, by organizing the extraordinaries, especially the Chong Mai, it has to do with digestion, but also nurturing and emotional support, because digestion is one of the ways we nurture ourselves. The segments of energy sources that were in one unit, in one location, the heart chakra, can be restructured because, as I just said, the Chong Mai does support the heart, the spirit, and therefore the heart chakra. When the heart chakra is mended, the person, you get another chance to attain harmony within your own mind and between your body and your mind. And it can be achieved with your clear wisdom through all difficult experiences and without losing your mental activity or chemical influence. In other words, it can be balanced into a happy mental, emotional state and chemical state. Kind of an interesting way to think about it is that the heart chakra becomes like a time machine that puts all past memory, present reality, and future spiritual destiny in one place and allows you to put them into perspective. That is how depression is neutralized, through the perspectives. Even if there isn't a way to mend a fragile heart chakra permanently, being able to see the truth of your multidimensional reality from a bird's eye view can help you attain an understanding of what's happening, which in turn might help eliminate the depression, because it is a mere conflict within. Remember, I talked about that in the beginning, that depression is a conflict within, between mind, heart, and the physical body. I was reading about an interesting observation about metastatic breast cancer, in terms that depression starts out from the heart chakra and affects the balance of the 2 glands, pancreas and adrenal gland, which I mentioned earlier. The pancreas is a part of our nourishing system of the body. In Chinese medicine, it goes with the spleen, stomach, it goes with nurturing ourselves. Digestion is one of the ways we nurture ourselves. So the pancreas is a part of the nourishing system of the body. And the adrenal gland is a part of our urogenital reproductive system. Well, after prolonged and strong mood swings, the stress on those glands can affect the reproductive organs, uterus, ovary, also the immune system, and can affect the absorption of self-nourishing factors, both in the physical and the mental level, okay? Self-nourishing factors, how we nourish ourselves. So then you can almost think of things like constant fear and anger and angst and sadness and insecurity as mental suffocation, right? You get suffocated mentally and sometimes spiritually by fear, anger, sadness, and insecurity. But the interesting thing about this with breast cancer was that suffocation manifests in the diaphragm. which is in the same area basically as the heart chakra. Remember, when our diaphragm is suffocating, we don't take deep breaths. We don't nurture ourselves very well with breath. And then stress, energy accumulating in the uterus and the ovaries can form some type of abnormal masses. Now, according to Taoism, the Taoist perspective of depression, when this kind of abnormal activity persists, the lungs are going to take an impact because they're a part of our immune system. But because our body is trying to protect organs like our lungs, right? It's our immune system. It's how we stay alive. With breathing, unfortunately, sometimes it can conveniently relocate the impact of all that stress on the breasts with the help of a tense diaphragm. An interesting way to look at the development of something like breast cancer. Also, fibrocystic breast condition. How many women don't take a deep breath? How many women have a lot of stress that is literally suffocating their diaphragm, making them not able to take a deep breath, and then the body, what we might call conveniently, relocates that impact into the breast tissue and creates fibrocysts. Now, because the breasts are the nourishing organ by the mother for us in the past, and for others, theoretically children in the future, and the lungs are sensing an outer atmosphere, defending themselves, the lungs can resist more so or longer than the breast can. But if theoretically both organs are what we might call ready for cancer, the breast will take the impact first because that will retain life longer than if the lungs took the impact first. When the nourishing fails, breast tissue, our reproductive system, the defense fails next. So if the self-existence concept isn't clear, the immune system isn't clear either about making boundaries between self and others. Others might be a pathogen like cancer. So as a result, the stress originating from the heart chakra, which is awareness of self and depression, can eventually affect the function of our nourishing system, digestive system, pancreas, and our self-maintaining defensive system, immune, lymphatic, respiratory, and adrenal glands. The self can't exist strongly or breathe with, communicate, or express ourselves with the outside anymore. We become kind of a small existence, eventually going into non-existence with something like depression, and separate out our emotional self from our physical self, from our spiritual self. And then, unfortunately, the defense force gives into the outer force or the existence of others. If we have poor personal boundaries, then our defense system, our heart chakra, our ability to nurture ourselves can give into the force of the existence of others. So that kind of abnormal stress eventually moves to the marrow in the brain, which is the deepest physical and mental manifestation of the self in the physical dimension. And of course, when what Chinese medicine practitioners would call pathogens or perverse factors get into the marrow in the brain, it's deep. It becomes a deeper problem. So there you have depression from the Taoist view, looking at the 4 levels of it: spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical depression. Now, sometimes people talk about mental/emotional levels or a level, but here the Taoist view splits it into spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical depression. And I gave you an example of maybe how the mental, emotional type of depression can lead to a more physical disease. And I think we all know that. The masters of Chinese medicine said that all physical symptoms were caused by emotional stress. So take a listen and see how your heart chakra feels, how open it is, how calm you feel, how happy you feel, and thinking about releasing the energy, having your heart chakra functional, and no conflict of mind or no miscommunication between your mind and your body. And that's it for today. So take care. Again, this is Dr. Martha Lucas. The podcast is Energy Medicine Woman. It's available on my YouTube channel, which is Dr. Martha Lucas, also on Anchor and Spotify. And I can be reached either by going to my website, acupuncturewoman.com, and clicking on the Dr. Lucas, contact Dr. Lucas button, or you can email me at drmlucas@acupuncturewoman.com. That's drmlucas@acupuncturewoman.com. Take care.